Why did they could be a 2-0? Didn't these guys go to game 5?
Well, it's just because Red Bandit, like when I was adjusting it for times, like every time we've seen him play, he's either 2-0ing his opponents or gets 0-2'd himself because of his like really aggressive builds. You know, always going with speed, always those 6 lings right off the bat type deal. But anyways, no, again, it's not to speak ill of either players. I was just expecting him to either 2-0 or get 2-0'd. Either way, we find ourselves in game number 3. And spawning here in the top right corner of the map, ironically enough, blue, Red Bandit.
The bottom left, as the red Protoss, it is RSVP.
Okay, so RSVP, let's give him some credit for game number 1 first up before we talk too much about this game. I know you missed it, but the quick thing was he was able to establish a lot of bases and really snowball his economy into his army. In that game, we saw the sort of devastation of being stuck on 2. There's a couple good opportunities where he could have taken some decent fights, but I think a big part of what happened last game was like he didn't really ever defend that third properly. He kept trying to be aggressive, and in some instances, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, but as we saw, it wasn't quite the case for him there. And in game number 2, to give credit to Red Bandit as well, we saw a lot better macro out of him than we're used to seeing. Like, he was expanding like a monster. He had constant reinforcements. I don't think we actually saw a lot of injects going on, but that's fine, because injects are made up by having additional hatcheries. I mean, I guess with Starbow, you don't really need to inject as diligently if you've got about 9 hatcheries in play.
Well, I only caught the tail end of that last game through your casting, so it sounded interesting, and I certainly would appreciate seeing the actual like Bane Rain, because we don't ever see that in StarCraft 2 anymore.
Oh my god, I know, right? Like, the only person I can think of, like, seriously, out of like over 1,000 casts I've done in HOTS, like, I think Snoot is the only person I've ever seen Bane Rain.
Oh, that's right. We did. I know we cast that one of his games,
Yeah.
but the most that I remember is like back when Lenog was doing it.
Right? But that's what I'm saying, like, you just don't see it anymore. And I didn't realize how effective Banelings were versus workers, though, because Red Bandit just demolished the mineral line. Like, it was just not even a contest, is what it was. I think Banelings, I wasn't quite sure because it happened so fast, but I think they actually one-shot workers instead of two-shotting them. Because things were dying very fast.
That's probably the case, then. Well, Forge Fast Expand from RSVP. Now, we did cast these guys facing each other, right? Before?
I wanna say yes. I have to go actually look that up because I know that they both made it to the Ladder Cup finals. So here I am.
Yeah, they would have had to play at some point.
Yeah, no,
neither of them lost.
Did in the finals though. Yeah, they were actually okay. Cool. You're right. They did go to Game 5, so I didn't take that into consideration. But they did go to Game 5 in the semifinals. So. This is, I didn't even realize a rematch between these two dudes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty good storyline to follow, and then I wasn't here to tell it, so that's cool.
Way to go, Zon. No, I guess, yeah, a cool thing, guys, we had the Ladder Cup season finals wrap up just last weekend. Red Bandit came 2nd place overall after losing it to Franskar, but RSVP took the 3rd place match. So, yeah, again, like, you couldn't ask for better, I guess, again, quote-unquote amateur Starbow players. But I love that the scene's starting to build up, and we're starting to see a lot of these names. Like, who's ever really heard of Red Bandit unless you're Rifkin watching ProTech a year ago, right? Who's ever really heard of RSVP? So it's really nice that these guys are able to find a platform to showcase themselves in a very, quite frankly, entertaining manner.
Correct. Especially to Red Bandit. I mean, RSVP, he's really solid, you know? Like, he's the type that I think if he practice ready, be able to go and face Ryung or Innovation and maybe take a game off of them in this game. But to Red Bandit's the one that like would win because he did something silly but really awesome.
Yeah, like those proxy hatcheries with the spine crawlers. The cat's build being brought over to Starbow. Well, these 3 zealots coming across the map have been what we've seen every single game so far out of RSVP. This does one of 2 things that I really like. One is it forces Zerglings out, or Hydralisk, depending on what your opponent's going for. You can't really afford to ignore 3 zealots, so it means he's not droning in the background as well. And when you don't have 3 larvae popping out at a time, the way you spend your larvae is actually really important in the early game. So being forced to make Zerglings right now is fine, but it's important that he doesn't make too many, that he doesn't overreact to this. But also, ironically enough, that he doesn't underreact to this either, as we often see being the case.
Well, a spine crawler at each base, it looks like. I mean, they'll be useful for later. At least hatchery placement. Not only does it force kind of a funnel into the spine crawler, but also just going to be able to connect, you know, creep a little bit more. Although creep doesn't give you speed, it's the regen bonus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a weird thing to get used to because you're so used to seeing it be speed and more than anything else, more speed. But nice recall out of RSVP. We'll save 2 of the Zealots. There's still an awkward one that was late to the party that may end up dying for his tardiness.
Not sure. Yeah, it was alright.
Okay, he did like one swipe. What a nuisance! This is like Dennis the Menace over here, the Zealot. Jesus. Alright, well, I don't know if he's gonna go down or if he'll recall it, save it. He's got the energy to recall it though, so he could save it. But nope.
Or nope. Awkward. Stop.
You were late. That's your punishment.
Fight. Death, actually, is his punishment. That's pretty. It's pretty brutal.
Starbow's really serious, guys. It's really dark too.
Yeah, apparently.
4th base being taken by Red Bandit while this is going on. Again, this is the situation where you don't, we saw a lot of this in the Ladder Cup finals. Zerg players are really trying to take too many hatcheries too early. And that's a lot of resources. I mean, we got a macro hatchery down here, the 4th base being taken. That's 600 minerals out. That could have been queens, that could have been hydras, that could have been lings. And it's a little bit worrisome because on one hand, like, that's a lot of minerals to devote, but RSVP's not getting aggressive. And big thing is, Red Bandit knows this, which is why he's safe to expand. This Overseer has nothing to really stop it from scouting the base.
Finally getting some Blink Stalkers out though after getting that charge and +1. We also have a Baneling Nest again from TEhredbandit.
Are you getting any lag on your end, by the way?
Yes, it's annoying.
Okay, because, yeah, you keep, like, randomly splitting out here on Zoom. I don't know if that's, hang on, do I have any drop frames on XSplit? No. Alright, well, maybe we'll just restart the meeting call afterwards and see if that fixes it.
Alright.
It's not, like, unbearable. It's just, like, the odd, like, word gets sort of hiccuped, I guess.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that happens for you, too, but mostly I figured it was, like, TEhredbandit's in Europe, isn't he? So.
No, he's a good old American, I believe.
I thought one of these guys was European. Oh no, I know it was. Okay.
I think it's France that's the European.
Yeah.
Anyways, Zealot backs away from this after taking the spine car hit like a champ. There are some Blink Stalkers, as you pointed out, getting made now too. The mobility they provide, the hit and run tactic is going to be really nice, as we see they can get a couple legs and back out before losing too much more than shields. Again, it's so weird that shields regenerate in combat. It's such a hard thing to get my head wrapped around. It's not overpowered by any means, but it's just different.
Well, that area of attack didn't work, but yeah, that's not going to work either. He can blink into the main, though.
That is true. Stalkers come equipped with the high ground vision and blink. I mean, come on, try not to scream and call this OP, right? Like, you not only do you get blink for free, but you get like high ground vision as well.
Yeah, high ground vision is kind of OP. I mean, there's a reason they didn't give it to the Reapers, am I right?
Right? Exactly. Well, lanes are going to flood in here. They should actually be able to deal a good chunk of damage to this, but he's going to really need the Hydralisk behind it. This main base, he's got the drones being pulled into the fight, but Blink Stalkers, unfortunately, have a nice exit if they want to take it. However, not going to take it. Instead goes for as many kills as humanly possible for RSVP. Not a bad choice by any means, but one that's going to cost him a couple more Stalkers here in the end.
Maybe one more? This is really good control.
I know, like this hit and run is actually fantastic. Like a trail of Zergling corpses is left behind this. And he will actually only get one more Stalker for his troubles. Alright, well handled. One thing I'm a little bit worried about though, this wall off, while really nice and kind of forces the choke down towards the south, this also exposes the Hydralisk Den quite a bit. Well, I guess soon to be the Lurker Den. This is a building you're going to come to rely on a little bit later on, and if he was to lose this too early, that'd be very unfortunate. Using the high ground vision from Stalkers, say mix in a couple goons, he could really outrange anything that Red Bandit could have up here to defend.
Probably not going to become a problem, but definitely something to consider for RSVP.
Yeah.
Now, has he scouted this 4th base?
No, he's not. He's not yet seen the 4th. So a lot of focus going in towards the 3rd. And you know what? This kind of is. It's funny because again, it's uncharacteristic for Red Bandit to really have like a ton of macro behind him. So to expect a 4th is quite frankly unexpected.
Lurker comes down here. It's going to protect most of the hatch, honestly. You know, anything important, unless RSVP decides to just go to the natural, which is an option, but it puts you in a very risky option because he actually doesn't have an observer over there saying there's nothing over there.
He doesn't know whether it's safe or not. Going to be driven back once again. I like this aggressive Lurker positioning, though. Lurkers aren't going to exactly one-shot Stalkers by any means, but it's a lot of damage that they're going to have to walk past and walk over. Banelings are made behind this, but we're so far off of seeing Bane Rain come into effect, guys. A big part of what happened with that Bane Rain, too, was the fact that he's able to afford it. It was a situation where he had such a big army lead, he had a lot of map presence. This time, it's kind of the opposite. We see Red Bandit stuck, I wouldn't say I shouldn't actually say stuck, but more like he's not moving out anytime soon. He's not got map control under his way. He's on 4 bases, but this is not a map where you can easily take a 5th. Like, match point is really, like, I guess, almost baseless compared to some of the other maps.
RSVP pretty much figures out that there's another base and goes towards it. There are lurkers, though, and unfortunately he doesn't have a observer, but it doesn't seem to matter. Those lurkers, they don't actually reach the stalkers.
Right? So, decides to reposition the Spine Cars, repositions the lurker. Spine, he'll drive this off. He'll drive this off for now. I don't think he needed to. I think he could have danced around that and spread his stalkers out, honestly, and killed the base, but it would have been at the cost of quite a few stalkers, I guess. So, at the same time, kind of makes sense not over-dedicating to that.
I thought he could have killed one of the lurkers at least, and then had that entire option open to him. But
it's hard because stalkers deal so little damage, but they deal it quite rapidly, right? And it's hard to kill them. So stalkers just seem like they got a lot of damage built into them, but they don't. It seriously takes like 24 shots or something, like plus to kill like anything. I mean, I don't know anything that dies to like, aside from like workers or zerglings, I guess, that die to like 4 stalker hits. But whoa, where's the hive? Has he started his hive yet? No, he's got the viper here.
We have ventral sacks. You know, he's preparing for another, I guess, a baneling rain, and now he's an observer, so he goes and takes out that lurker. Ooh.
Stalkers are going to do quite a bit of damage. Lings flooding in like this are not going to be that effective. This is really unfortunate. His upgrades are a little bit late to the party as well, so again, just taking these hits and going down super fast. These stalkers honestly don't even need to blink out.
Catch him behind though. Now he's a little stuck. He's got to lose some blink stalkers no matter what.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool tactic there out of Red Bandit. Really like the way he employed that, but still in the end, with that observer or 2 up there, there's just a little too much damage here.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, look how many shots that takes to kill a lurker. By the way, like no wonder you didn't dive in.
It was a great idea from TEhredbandit, and probably got him more than anything else has ever had. But he does lose the 4th base. RSVP's just been macroing up behind all this blink stalk progression super nicely. I mean, 160 supply, 160 supply. It's just 100.
I really like the distraction tactics of that too, because I mean at the same time, Dragoons, they're so strong, but they die to things like Zerglings and Hydralisks. If you're using all your Zerglings and Hydras to, you know, sort of awkwardly defend, I really want to just call die in the main, then of course that base is going to be open and susceptible. Red Bandit thinking he needs to get some damage done, and he absolutely does. The way he's just been taking these hits, he's not been able to sit back and be overly defensive. A lot of these Blink Stalkers are almost dead, but sadly, if you're not dead, you're just going to blink away. Yep, Zealot's is going to take the front lines here. There is the Observer, so you can see the Lurkers. This army value is going to get stormed upon as well. There's probes transferring. Ooh, that's always dangerous. But with the Blink Stalker still standing, these Lurkers will go down, and Red Bandit is going to lose his entire army to this. This is so unfortunate.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that much of an economy either. I mean, even with the 4th base, he was having trouble getting anywhere with his supply count. Trying to remax Lings and Hydras as well as getting up to some maybe better tech.
He's going to drop. Oh, but he gets
into the main.
I mean, it's a tactic that's worked in the past for some players. It's not a bad choice by any means, but RSVP already knows this is coming. That Templar got to storm off on a couple of those Lings. He saw the Overlords like this. You don't have 7 Overlords over here for no reason.
Yeah.
So fully aware and in position, ready for this. Unfortunately, Red Bandit's not going to get a lot done.
This is not going to work. Oh, it's so dangerous.
You know what's actually
kind
of
saw
curious?
It too. Okay. Whew.
I just want to point out, we haven't seen a single Mutalisk got a Red Bandit today. That was kind of like his flagship unit during the Starbow Ryder Cup finals.
Really glad he decided not to do it. He had that Overseer, I believe. I think it was the Overseer that just alerted him to the fact that the army was already in position. Moves away, but the Overlords, I mean, even with speed, they're still pretty slow.
Yeah, and this army, the army supply in here could go down very quickly if he's not careful. Bandit's going off the top of Dragoons. If he had left these towards the south, this would have been the opportune time to drop in, right? But unfortunately, Dragoon's going to get on top of this. He's going to lose the cargo if he's not careful, not unloading any of these units. Feel the woes of Terran players everywhere, Red Bandits. Unfortunately, going to lose everything inside these Overlords. A little too massive, a little too much. GG is going to be called, and RSVP will win this best of 3. This means we need to skedaddle over to Korea, where we can meet up with Impact and Crank now for the next best of 3, guys.